Hey there everybody, Nubkeks here and welcome to my prediction video for this year's BlizzCon. 2 days from when I'm recording this video, I'm actually flying over to go to BlizzCon. So stay tuned here on the channel for all of the info and my thoughts on the gameplay, and hopefully plenty of videos too for you guys coming up over the weekend, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, I'll see you guys all for that. But here, I'm going to talk about what I expect to see at the show and some of the leaks. So do bear in mind, I will be talking about leaks because we had a couple of leaks over the last couple of days, last week or so. I will be talking about those things. So if you don't want to see any leaks, maybe don't watch this one. Okay, let's dive into it. Let's dive right in. First of all, let's talk about what I have here in the background, which is Heroes of the Storm. And obviously this was from the live stream that Blizzard did. They did the Deathwing reveal. We saw 2 games of Deathwing on this live stream. You can find it on YouTube if you want to watch the whole thing, if you missed that. And Deathwing, he obviously, look, he's a giant dragon. He obviously looks really damn cool. It looks pretty exciting. The thing I like most about this is that I think, you know, obviously with the way that Heroes is at the moment, you know, they cut a lot of the funding. HTC was cancelled, all of that. But one opportunity that is a positive thing coming out of the cancelling of HTC, mostly it's a negative thing, but one positive is that, well, there was a lot of balance restrictions and game design restrictions that were put onto the game with HTC because it needed to be balanced for that. It needed to work as a broadcast professional esport. Now that that's not there, they can kind of do some more crazy stuff. Heroes like Abathur, Murky, Cho'Gall, they can make more game-breaking stuff like that, and maybe we'll see that a bit with Deathwing, and hopefully in future years as well. So yeah, I think that's one nice thing. And Deathwing, he looks pretty damn cool, I have to say. In terms of the show at BlizzCon, what are they going to reveal then if they've already revealed Deathwing? And was it a good idea even to reveal Deathwing now? Personally, I think yes, it was, probably, because they got to show so much gameplay of him. In terms of the show, they have one panel at BlizzCon. So they have a 45-minute slot with which to cover everything that they're doing with HOTS right now. So I think that this is a good way to deal with it. I expect at that panel, well, first of all, I expect at the opening ceremony that they have a nice, awesome hype trailer for Deathwing to get folks, you know, just excited and interested in it. So a cool CG trailer for Deathwing. I expect that at the opening ceremony. I expect at the panel that they will spend about half of the panel talking about the big dragon, talking about Deathwing, showing some gameplay, talking about design, the creation process, that sort of stuff. And I expect the other half then, this is new stuff that we haven't seen prior to BlizzCon, I expect that to cover some gameplay updates. Every year at BlizzCon, they do some gameplay updates. They removed turret ammo in one year. They changed how XP works from structures. They changed how the mercenary camps work, you know, giving spell armor to the wizard at the night camp, for example. They changed how catapults work. So I expect something along those lines to come this year as well. Some just general gameplay update that will kind of tweak the feel of the game and hopefully change up the sort of compositions and the way that people play. So hopefully something that might open up the laning a little bit more, make it a bit more dynamic, a bit more, well, maybe not dynamic, maybe just a bit more chaotic. Again, going back to what I said before, you know, a lot of the game right now, you've got a lot of like solo laners that are focused on soaking, just staying alive, soaking experience, and playing passively is kind of the smart way to play. It's just how the game design evolved with HGC. It might be nice to go back to just a bit more of the brawler, the hero brawler idea, a bit more of the chaos. You know, maybe reduce some of the XP from minions and increase the XP from structures and objectives, for example. Might be a good way to just force more team fighting and kind of more chaos. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways they could do it. There's obviously downsides to nearly everything, but I expect some changes somewhat along those lines. And then finally, I think a nice thing to add on to this BlizzCon thing as well, seeing as they've already revealed Deathwing, it might be cool to show a couple of the reworks that they've been doing over the last few months too. We obviously know a Tastar rework has been in the works, so I would kind of expect to see Tastar rework at this year's show, to show off some gameplay, maybe have it be playable on the show floor as well, and for it to be released pretty soon too. I think that would be a really nice thing to do. Maybe another rework as well. I'm not sure who else they're reworking right now, but we could see something else teased for a little bit in the future. You know, seeing as they've revealed Deathwing, I think it'd be a nice thing at the end of the panel to be like, oh, by the way, you already know you're going to be playing Deathwing on the show floor. Well, guess what? You can also play the Tastar rework, and here it is. Just something, a little extra thing. And honestly, you know, that's the thing. HOTS, we got some very passionate devs, but it is a smaller dev team now. So I think the time for big expectations it's long gone. You know, that's a year gone at this point. We're not expecting big things anymore. I think honestly, I think that Deathwing plus some general game updates, maybe tease a rework, honestly, that would meet my expectations very much, and I'd be really happy with that. So yeah, we'll see what we go. That's what I think. No big expectations, but hopefully some nice ones. That's for HOTS. All right, let's dive over. I have a little image here. We're going into that with a leak territory. We're going to talk about World of Warcraft. Let me just slap this bad boy right on the monitor there. There you go. Let's make that bad boy full screen as well. Okay, we're looking good. Let me remove me for a second so you can see this amazing skull arm plate. And okay, I'm back. World of Warcraft. Well, I think this image says it all, doesn't it? A new leak from the Blizzard Gear store, this image. It possibly could be fake, but I really don't think so. I think this is too high quality, and it looks like a capture from one of their big cinematics. The expansion launch cinematic, one would think. And I think it's Lich King 2.0, right? Wrath of the Lich King 2. It's coming, boys. This makes sense to me. If you look at what they did with Legion was like Burning Crusade 2.0. They're like, Illidan is back, guys. Burning Legion's back. We're fighting Kil'jaeden again. It's just, nostalgia. Let's go. We're just doing it all over again in a way. Going back to those themes and those sort of enemies, etc. Wrath of the Lich King 2.0. I don't think anybody is mad about this. I think everyone is happy to have another, undead, icy themed expansion and all the cool stuff they can do around the theme of death and the Scourge and the Lich King. There's so much awesome stuff they could do here. So I think everyone feels pretty positively about this leak. It looks, look at that hammer. Look how cool that looks. That's awesome. This is also, I would say, if ever they were to do the ultimate nostalgia, the ultimate expansion for WoW, it has to be now, right? WoW Classic just came out. It just came out. There's so many people with their eyes on Warcraft right now. There's so many people came back for Classic, then turn around and go, well, guys, did you enjoy the Wrath of the Lich King expansion? Because that's what we're aiming for again in retail, the new expansion. We're going to do that, but bigger, but better. That's going to bring so many people back. The hype is going to be insane. So yeah, that's what I expect. It's this. There you go. Now, what will they do in terms of gameplay for this expansion? I think is an interesting question, right? And again, I'm hoping that fan service, not like the anime giant titties like we saw in Code Vein, but, fan service will be at the heart of this expansion, removing some of the features that players really hated, like Titan Forging, Azerite Armor, that were really unpopular. And I think adding some cool stuff in instead is the right way to go. In particular, I'd expect this expansion to have a pretty big focus on updating the classes. Classes were one of the things that got the most criticism in BFA. In Legion, they established this design that you would have a relatively simple baseline class, and then they'd add on the artifact weapon. End of Legion, they take that away. They put in Azerite Armor, and that these kind of slot in every expansion. They slot in this new thing that makes the class cool. And BFA obviously showed that system doesn't really work. People didn't like Azerite Armor. People didn't like the state of the classes in the expansion. Essences in the Nazjatar patch somewhat fixed it, but still, there's it wasn't received that popularly overall. So I would expect, honestly, in this expansion, this is the expansion to do some fairly big spec and class reworks, to put in some fairly big changes, to add a bunch of new spells. This is the one to do it. Again, to really hype stuff up. The fan service expansion, make it happen. I also expect that we'll see a new class in this expansion. I think that's very likely. Every second expansion they do a new class. They did Death Knight in Wrath, then nothing in Kata, then we had Monks in Mists, nothing in WoD, Demon Hunter in Legion, nothing in BFA. I think here we go, Death expansion. What are they going to do? The most predicted class, just without knowing what the expansion would be, has been Tinker. And Tinker makes a whole lot of sense. Adding another range DPS that uses physical weapons instead of just hunters. Maybe it could be a mail armor user. And there's a lot of cool stuff they could do with the Tinker. Just the idea of being this guy, you could have a big mech suit, much like Mechatork has. They could do cool stuff, it could have like big guns, big cannons for like a ranged attacking form. You could do it as a healer, throwing healing grenades, shooting healing darts, healing beams, that sort of thing. They could do it as a tank, a big tanky mech. They could do it as a melee DPS, a big like chain blades. You know, they could do pretty much everything with it, and it'd be really awesome. Now, it doesn't really fit with this though, does it? It doesn't really fit with a death-themed expansion, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be that. I think the thing that would fit with death, and has been one of the most requested things forever, is a necromancer. Now, of course, the big reason not to do necromancer in the past has been, well, there's warlocks who do like the whole like dark magic summoning thing. And there's also Death Knights, who do the whole death magic thing, and also the summoning undead thing. But, going back to what I said earlier, I expect some fairly big class reworks, and much like they reworked Warlocks to make room for Demon Hunters, I expect they could look at Warlocks and Death Knights again, and tweak them up a bit, to make room for a Necromancer class, something like a short-range caster class, in mail armor, or plate armor even, like heavy armor, slow-moving caster with focus on summons and death magic, etc. They might do it. It really does overlap with the classes, but if they do class reworks, it's one of the only things I can think of for like a death thing. Dark Ranger could be another one. Dark Ranger could be an option, with Sylvanas tying into it somehow, perhaps. Again, being another range class, you know, kind of a bows plus sorcery idea. That's also quite possible. So I think it's probably one of those three. And honestly, I'd be pretty happy with any of them. So yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts for this WoW expansion. Okay, the next big leak we got is this. Overwatch 2. So let's talk about Overwatch 2 a little bit. Sorry, the image is relatively small. It is a leaked image, again, from the Gear Store. Both of these from the Gear Store. You can see the new hero there. I think she's called Echo. She featured in the cinematic. She's an Omnic, a robo girl. She featured in the cinematic last year's BlizzCon, the one with McCree in it. So she's expected to be the new hero, considering these images. But yes, Overwatch 2. Again, this was leaked also by ESPN. And they talked about it having a big PvE focus. Cooperative PvE matches. Possibly something along the lines of Left 4 Dead, maybe. That's what I'm hoping for. Something along the lines of that. Like kind of replayable, 4-player stuff. Left 4 Dead was super successful when it came out. It was phenomenal, and we haven't had that many big games like that in recent times. So I think that would be pretty damn exciting and pretty damn hype. I think the Overwatch universe, they have such cool characters, has such a good theme, great lore. I think it'd be super fun. There's so much they could do with it. So adding a PvE mode in, I think, is great, and especially because there's a lot of players that love all that stuff. They love the feel of the game, the look, the universe, but they're not really into competitive PvP. Not really into playing against other players in like a serious way. So that cuts off a lot of Overwatch's appeal for them in the longer term. I think adding PvE in really would hype that up. They also mentioned with Overwatch 2, the leak also mentioned a new PvP mode called Push. So we'll see what that involves. Pushing a payload. No. But, and a new map that would feature this new mode. I think that would be pretty great as well. You know, an actual new properly designed PvP mode. Because the game it's been fairly stagnant for a while now, let's be honest. They haven't done too much, so it makes a lot of sense to me that Overwatch 2 would come out and add a whole bunch of new big stuff to really hype the game up and bring it back into the spotlight. So yeah, I think that looks pretty damn good. Okay. Let's stick, oh, not this one. Oop. Oh god, what have I done? Oh god. There we go. Let's put this back on for a little bit, and let me talk about the last couple of games here at the end as well. So we got a few other little bits here. Warcraft, WoW Classic. Let's talk about WoW Classic briefly, then Warcraft 3 Reforged, then StarCraft 2, and Hearthstone. So, WoW Classic. The thing with WoW Classic is most of it you kind of know about already, right? You kind of know about it already because it's just a re-release of the game that already came out. However, I think this year they're probably just going to talk about the success of the game, what it's done well. They'll obviously dive into more previews of the upcoming phases of the game where they're re-adding all that content that was in Classic WoW. I think they might tease the possibility of Classic WoW Plus. What is Classic WoW Plus? Where instead of just going and doing like... There's two ways they could do this. Either in a couple of years, or like 3 or 4 years, they do Burning Crusade Classic, and then they do Wrath of the Lich King Classic, and they just keep the Classic thing going. They might do that. Personally, what I'm expecting them to do is WoW Classic Plus. I think that would be more interesting, where they go, okay, after we finish like all of the phases for WoW Classic, we've released all the stuff that was originally in the game, we're going to do a new expansion, a brand new expansion. And they can kind of just do like an alternate game, basically, an alternate history, an alternate universe. Just be like, okay, it's just a new timeline for World of Warcraft, this classic timeline. And they can add on new raids, like they could just add expansions onto the base game, like smaller expansions, like major patches to the base game, to Classic. New raids, new leveling content, new zones, new areas, new story. Or they could add on, again, just a whole new expansions as well, with like a simpler art style than we have in modern WoW, in retail WoW, and kind of just retell it. And they can take all those characters, the Lich King, Illidan, Kael'thas, all those characters, and they can tell a different story. I think that would be pretty insane. Now, I don't expect any major announcement. I think it's far too early, but I think maybe a tease of that is something that could happen and would be pretty cool. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'm thinking they might do a WoW Classic Plus. Warcraft 3 Reforged then. Much the same, really, as WoW Classic. It's a game that's like a new skin, and well, much more of a new skin than Classic is, of course, but it's a new skin on and a game that already came out. I expect with Warcraft 3 Reforged that it's going to release probably on Monday or Tuesday after BlizzCon. I think they're going to have the game fully playable, finished on the show floor. They're going to talk about it, and bam, big announcement. It's coming to you guys in the next week. That's what I'm expecting with Warcraft 3. I think it's going to be great. And then I think at the show, they're going to show off the map editor. I think that's the one thing. Like, we've already seen some like gameplay, and a lot of the art stuff is coming out as well. I think showing off the map editor, which is one of the big cool things in the custom game modes that people created. I mean, that's where this came from, right? That's where Dota came from. Was a Warcraft 3 custom map. That's where it came from. The whole genre was spawned. I expect the map editor to be a big focus, probably, of the presentation. It's the only sort of big thing I can think of that they haven't really shown. Maybe they'll talk about ranked and some of the competitive ladder and stuff like that for Warcraft 3. Maybe incorporate it into some sort of esport, perhaps, alongside StarCraft 2. We'll see. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting with Warcraft 3 Reforged. Okay, StarCraft. Don't really expect much in terms of StarCraft 2. I expect StarCraft 2 to be the most entertaining esport at the event. I love watching StarCraft 2. I think there's something about the one-on-one strategy game that's just so compelling to watch. So I'm really excited for the global finals for StarCraft 2. Really excited for that. I think it's going to be great. That's one of the things I'm going to make sure, no matter what, to catch the semis and the finals. I'm not missing those for anything. So screw whatever else is happening at the time. I'm watching them. So yeah, but maybe just some small updates to the game like they've been doing. I don't really expect too much big in the way of that. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, Hearthstone. Obviously an awkward topic right now, a hot topic right now. I expect they'll probably just tease another expansion for Hearthstone. I think it's a bit of a weird one. Honestly, I think it'd be better for them if next year was like a big Hearthstone year, not this year. It's gonna be a bit messy with all the political stuff that was happening with BlitzChung and all that. So we'll see what they do with Hearthstone. I'm probably going to avoid the Hearthstone stuff, to be honest, for now. Not really that much into it. But obviously with Legends of Runeterra coming out soon, this is it's a pretty scary time for the Hearthstone team. So I expect they're going to be putting a lot of focus on Hearthstone over the next year. Legends of Runeterra being the League of Legends, Hearthstone essentially, that they just announced a couple of weeks ago. Coming out to compete with them. And obviously, I think their league was pretty smart about it, right? They announced it a couple of weeks before BlizzCon, and then they've got like a big beta coming out a couple of weeks after BlizzCon. Yeah, they're feeling pretty good about it, methinks. So yeah, we'll see what happens though with that. Oh, and then finally, of course, Diablo. I forgot to mention Diablo, but there have been leaks for Diablo 4. Actually, I forgot to get info on that. Diablo 4 leaks. But there have been leaks for that. A leaked art book is what happened. So there was an art book for Diablo. It got leaked talking about this art book, which is for Diablo 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I think this could be a big year for Diablo as well. Last year was a disaster with Diablo Immortal. And I think with Diablo Immortal, I think they could show that at this year's show again. And I think it could be very positively received this time if they go, guys, here's Diablo 4. Here's a look at the game. It's coming. We're designing it. boom, the big Diablo game that you guys actually wanted. And on top of that, you've also got this mobile game that you can play when you're not at your PC. Even more Diablo. I think that would be received quite positively because, you know, why not have an extra game on top of the game that you already love? That's just a good thing, right? So I think that Diablo Immortal could actually become quite a positive thing for the company with the Diablo 4 actually being released. Rip Deathwing in the background there. Sorry, Deathwing. So yeah, Diablo 4, it's looking quite likely that it's been leaked. It makes sense for them to do it. It would be a very positive thing to bring Blizzard back into a positive light. It's what a lot of people want, and it could be a really damn good game as well. And also tie into Diablo Immortal and open up Diablo as like, just bring it in as a new, you know, that's the thing with the mobile game that was kind of lost in the kind of the uproar and the outrage last year, is that, you know, mobile games are big, they're popular, and having a big money-earning game in the franchise opens up the franchise to even more games, doing more, like, look what happened with League of Legends. They're getting a whole bunch of new stuff in that universe. Getting more mobile games could also do that too. And there you go. They're my main predictions for BlizzCon. I think that's probably enough new stuff. They might have some more mobile games announced as well. Like a WoW mobile game is possible. StarCraft mobile. HOTS mobile I don't expect, but maybe in the future HOTS 2 on mobile. Could happen. We'll see what they do with it. But they're my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm going to pause this here because, yeah, there we go. This is a good place to end it. Thanks for watching, guys. And yeah, remember, stay tuned for actual BlizzCon announcements. See you all then. Bye-bye.